The 2008 African Cup of Nations was staged in Ghana between the 20th of January 2008 and the 11th of February 2008. The team was led by Carlos Alberto Pereira, the World Cup winning coach. And how he came to be available was that after Brazil got knocked out of the 2006 World Cup, he and the technical committee of that World Cup team were facing heat. So Carlos Alberto Pereira decided to resign. At the time, SA were coached by Pitso Mosimane as caretaker management. But with the World Cup coming up and with like having a headline coach, a headline name coach, Safa wasn't going to resist, It did help that Carlos Alberto Pereira had national team pedigree, as he'd previously been to 4 World Cups with 4 different national teams. This being Kuwait in 1982, the United Arab Emirates in 1990, Brazil in 1994 and 2006, and Saudi Arabia in 1998. And what further boosted his CV was that he previously won the 94 World Cup, the 2004 Copa America, the 2005 Confed Cup, and he'd been a part of the 1970s Brazil squad. So he knew all about winning. Only issue was that my man didn't come cheap, And when it came out how much he was earning, there was a bit of outcry. As reported by John T. Mark at IOL.co.za's article, Pereira's salary to treble, Carlos Alberto Pereira was reportedly earning 21.6 million a year, while his assistants earned 7 million a year. Now think about that in context. This guy and his technical team were earning more than the president himself, So coupled with his pedigree, expectations were high for him, Bafana Bafana was placed in Group D with Angola, Senegal, and Tunisia. And normally I would have said, look, bruh, I'm expecting quarterfinals or so, but after the last Afcon showing, I'm not gonna lie, I was just happy with the win over Angola. That would have been fine. Because Senegal and Tunisia were solid African teams. Having a look at the squad, you can see a lot of names that would be prevalent in the national team for the next decade or so, for the coming decade. In goalkeeping, you had Rowan Fernandez, Munib Josephs, and Spider Kid, Itukune. Defense, you had Bevan Fransman, Tsepo Masilela, Nassif Morris, Tumelon Tlapo, Benson Mhlongo, Bryce Moon, and Brett Evans. Now, for me personally, the goalkeeping department was solid, was spot on, no changes needed. Defense, here and there, but I was mostly happy, Midfield, you had Aaron Kwena, Lance Davids, Shaba Ranks, Surprise Muriri, Stephen Pinar, El Rio Van Heerden, Teko Modise, Kaksho Degwash. And it's a run-of-the-mill midfield, It's what they could do for the time, so I guess that's what we were working with. Strike Force, Rato Shawangu, Spuso Zuma, Kilampela, Excellent Walaza, and Terra Fontaine. Now, the Strike Force traditionally in Bafana Bafana has always been a top-notch thing, So I'd say this is the first time where it looked a bit weaker than usual. But that is also in attribute to guys like Sianom Vete and Benny McCarthy aging out, and Carlos Alberto Pereira bringing in the young guys in preparation for the 2010 World Cup. Hence why you get guys like Excellent Walaza and Terra Fontaine coming into the team. Now, I will say the team was definitely better than the 06 team. They just got placed in a bad group. And, Carlos Alberto Pereira, he had solid fundamentals, You could see the team had like an idea of how he wanted them to play. But at the same time, I think his aura was larger than his actual coaching prowess, you get me? Like, the hype was bigger than the actual product. But we'll get there when we talk about the World Cup and the Confed Cup. Even though the team finished last of the group, they definitely performed better. And given that the squad was relatively young, it was mostly homegrown players, and, as I said, like there was a lot of integration going on. Things were definitely looking up, like from like a national perspective.